is going on, everyone? Is there something in movies that bothers you so much to the point where they would just stop doing that one thing as a whole? For myself, it's showing sexual content, and I really wish they would stop. If it were up to me, I would have no nudity or sex scenes in any films in the foreseeable future. In this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about why I dislike sexual content in movies and TV shows, as well as give you several concrete examples of sex scenes and nudity in movies and TV shows to the point where I was just done with it as a whole. Also, I'm going to lay out 3 different reasons for why I dislike sexual content in the entertainment industry. For 1, uncomfortableness. For 2, grossness. And 3, I find a lot of these scenes very unnecessary. Plus, I just want to add that I am not going to show any of these really vulgar sex scenes from any of these TV shows or movies because this is a family-friendly channel. I never curse. I don't enjoy doing that kind of stuff on my channel. I want this to be for all ages, so no, I will not be showing these scenes. You guys know me. I'm not that kind of person, and I also don't want this video to be taken down. So now I'm just going to run through several different movies that I've encountered over the last couple of years that made me feel very uneasy about sexual content. So let's begin with our first one. 50 Shades of Grey. The 50 Shades franchise is infamous for its overabundance of sexual content, and when I say sexual content, I mean a ton of sex scenes. We all know the real reason for why there's so many sexual scenes in the 50 Shades franchise, besides the fact that I guess they're trying to stay true to the source material, is because apparently sex sells, and I guess people really enjoyed watching these scenes. And when I say people who enjoyed these scenes, I mean 50-plus-year-old women, and that's about it. I don't find valid reasons for these sex scenes in the 50 Shades franchise. For me, it just doesn't make that much sense. Why would people go to the movie theater to watch movies just for their sex scenes? That's all 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades Freed, and the other one that nobody really cares about because this franchise is awful. That is the only reason this franchise exists. Somehow that draws in viewers and made this franchise a little bit of money. But for myself, there are no valid reasons to have so many sex scenes in just one film, let alone 3. Sausage Party. Sausage Party is one of those comedy films that tries using its sexual content as humor, and it does not work in this movie whatsoever. Some people probably found it really funny, but I do consider myself a little bit more intellectual, and if you're somebody that has more than half a brain, I'm sure you probably would not find this movie funny either. There's one scene in particular that just boggles my mind why it was included in the final cut of this movie. If you've seen Sausage Party, you know the scene I'm talking about at the very end. I just wish I could erase that memory permanently because there aren't very many other movie moments that I could remember from my past that made me feel as uncomfortable as the ending of Sausage Party, and therefore I hate this movie. The Wolf of Wall Street. As much as I like Martin Scorsese and The Wolf of Wall Street, there's no denying that this movie is over the top when it comes to nudity as well as profanity. It's one of those films that tries being half funny and half raunchy, but it comes off as inappropriate and to some people offensive. I consider the nudity and sex scenes in The Wolf of Wall Street gross. That's just how I look at sex in movies in general. Gross. The Wolf of Wall Street is also a film that broke records for the amount of profanity and nudity that's included within the movie. As much as I respect the creative team behind The Wolf of Wall Street, sometimes that line is blurred between creative process and trying to break records. For that reason, I don't fully respect The Wolf of Wall Street. I would have preferred had they toned down a bit. If I were given the chance to make The Wolf of Wall Street, I would not have included as much profanity or nudity in the making of that film. Plus, I would not want to be known for breaking such obscene records like having the most amount of F-bombs in a non-documentary film, as well as the amount of nudity that this movie has. Braveheart. This is one very small example because the movie is extremely long and there are only 2 sex scenes in the whole movie, but it's another one of those films that checks the box for uncomfortableness. When I watched this for the first time not too long ago, I said, this is a really odd sex scene. Why is this even included in the movie? And several other YouTubers who have talked about the film Braveheart also said the same thing. This was definitely not a necessary inclusion in the film, and for some reason they decided to go with it. Her. Another example of a film that made me uncomfortable is the movie Her, directed by Spike Jonze. The film takes place in the future, and there's a service similar to Siri, except more advanced and intellectual for human interaction. So of course Joaquin Phoenix starts falling for this AI, and they have a scene where they talk, well, should I say very dirty to one another? But what makes this sexual scene so unique is instead of having visuals, we only have words to convey the act of sex. I don't know about you, but this kind of sexual content may make me feel even more uncomfortable than watching the act itself between two people in a film. I decided to watch this movie with my brother and sister, and let me just add that they are both older than me by a lot of years, but when two types of scenes just like this came up in the film Her, it was excruciating for myself and those two to watch. I really wish we did not watch those scenes on such high volume either, because we have people living above us, and if they heard that, well, that'd be extremely embarrassing. So you could only tell how awkward I was feeling when watching those scenes. And I'm sure all of you have at least one friend who makes sexual noises in an attempt to be funny, but really no one is laughing. That's kind of what this scene in Her was going for. I did not laugh at all. I was just left feeling very uncomfortable. Game of Thrones. Ah, yes, the first TV show on my list. I'm estimating that about half of you who are watching this video right now are probably Game of Thrones fans, or at least have seen one episode of Game of Thrones. And if you've seen Game of Thrones, you are aware that Game of Thrones is very well known for their sexual scenes. Like 50 Shades of Grey, the reason why there is so much sex and nudity in Game of Thrones is to draw in more viewers. Should I say it again? The reason why there is so much sex and nudity in Game of Thrones is because apparently sex sells. I don't buy that. I think it's ridiculous. The stupidest thing I've ever heard. So therefore, every single time a sex scene would come up when I was watching Game of Thrones a year ago, I would roll my eyes. It is so completely stupid and nonsensical. I just don't agree with that way of thinking. A Star is Born. This is the one I've been waiting for. I don't think in my lifetime I've ever been more irritated by a film than when I experienced A Star is Born in theaters. The movie's formula is repetitive, and the same thing keeps going on and on for far too long. Bradley Cooper gets drunk, him and Lady Gaga have sex, there are a couple of filler scenes, and then repeat. My mind was boggled with just how repetitive this movie was, and I don't understand to this day why they included so many sex scenes in A Star is Born. It's not like I enjoy watching this in the theater with a ton of other people. It made me not only feel really uncomfortable, but made me question what their real reasoning was for this. And they kept bashing us over the head constantly, over and over again, with this amount of content to the point where I just could not take it anymore. Like, how many people do you know say, I really enjoy watching a movie with other people, seeing the same thing over and over again where two characters are having sex? And how many people in general say they like watching sex in movies ever? I just don't understand the point this movie was trying to convey to the audience. What really were they trying to say with all of these sex scenes in A Star is Born? It just doesn't make any sense to myself. I guess I'll never get it. The only thing I can think of, once again, is I guess they included all of these sex scenes to make this movie more money because apparently sex sells. Finally, You. This is the only example on my list that I'm in favor of having sex scenes for. First of all, they don't show any nudity in the series You. Of course, there's no reason to begin with, but for some reason, so many movies and TV shows do it anyway. And the reason why I'm okay with the sexual content in the series You is because we are constantly following the actions of this stalker, Joe Goldberg. If there's a moment where Joe and Beck are engaging in the act of sex, it makes sense to show that happening because anything could happen in that room between the two characters. Joe is very unpredictable. Something extremely vital may happen in some of these scenes. They add development to Joe's character and his relationship with Beck and Love. If you cut out those moments, you're taking away information that may otherwise be really important to the show and help us understand Joe's ways of thinking. There's also a good amount of commentary coming from Joe in the series You, so it makes sense to include these scenes because otherwise we would not know anything what's going on through Joe's brain when he is interacting sexually with Beck and Love. So that's my overall opinion on sexual content in movies and TV shows. I've just never never been a big fan of it. If it were up to me, like I said, I would never show any sexual scenes in movies or TV shows as a whole, because not only are they gross, but a lot of the times I just don't find it necessary. And also, it's really uncomfortable to watch these scenes. I just don't know anyone in general that says, I enjoy watching those scenes, it's fun to watch. Like, no, that's just not the case. I don't understand you if that's how you feel. But of course, I do want to hear what you guys have to say about sexual content in the entertainment industry. Do you agree with me? Do you also hate it? Or do you think it's necessary and you enjoy watching it in films? I want to hear what you guys have to say. Also, what does this mean for women? Is it a good message to spread when you have naked women in your movies and TV shows? I just don't agree with it. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it sends a positive message. That's just how I feel, though. But of course, guys, if you are new to my channel, click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.